Okay, we're starting. Okay, so this video recording is of several of the St. Anne teachers who have retired, and a novel book club was formed with our retired teachers, and we get together once a month to discuss the book that we've read and share stories. So we are going to kind of reminisce about our time at St. Anne, and during lunch, I guess because of Hurricane Ida, we got on, oh gosh, do you remember what happened with us at Katrina? And the stories were so great, so we're going to start off with our memories of teaching post-Katrina. And so if we could start off, Marilyn, do you want to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Okay. My name is Marilyn Cintani. I started teaching at St. Anne the same year that the sisters came, 1976. I was in the portable classrooms teaching third grade before we moved into the building, which is now classrooms, the first building. I was there after Katrina as a substitute teacher because I retired May 2005, right before Katrina. So I was in the gym at St. Philip helping out my fellow teachers get through each and every day. Okay?
Yeah. I'm Janice Thor Howard. I started at St. Anne when my children were old enough to go to school, and I started teaching first grade, and I taught first grade for 8 years. And then Monsignor Duke asked me to consider a position as assistant principal, which scared me to death, and I pondered it. I asked God to guide me, and he said to take it. And so for the next 16 years, I served as assistant principal.
Yes.
Very good. The best.
Yes.
The best. Wonderful first grade teacher, amazing assistant principal.
Yes.
I appreciate that.
I'm Martha Geddes. I was at St. Anne for 11 years, and I taught second grade with one of my co-workers.
Yep. And I'm Michelle Vanek, and I didn't even know I started teaching second grade at St. Anne in 1976, just out of college. Just out of college. I just graduated in May, and I started in August teaching.
You were my daughter's second grade
That's
teacher.
right. I was second grade teacher, so we started together in those portable buildings.
Yes, we did.
Yep, good memories. And then I left after 3.5 years to have my first child, and Miss Doback took my place, who became second grade teacher too. Then several years later, I came back and taught. Well, I came back. This is funny how this happened. I decided that since my children were going to be at St. Anne, I was going to come back and teach at St. Anne, and I had heard that there was going to be a kindergarten opening.
And we begged you to come do it.
Yes, and Sharon said yes. Who was the teacher who was leaving? She didn't have some, I don't know, 2 sons. But anyway, I had just gone back to class to take some refresher courses because I had been away for so long. Carol Crochet. I had taken 9 hours of classes, and I did it in early childhood because Sharon told me there was going to be a kindergarten opening. So I got that done. I'm walking to the office, and I told Miss Kitty I heard there was a kindergarten opening, and I was applying for it. My kid's going to be at St. Anne. I was ready to come back and teach. And so she goes, hold on a minute. And so I said, okay, wait. She called Father Duke, the deputy. Father Duke comes bouncing into the office, and he goes, she called him. And I didn't know, but I know they would be adding on a 4th, second grade because it was growing so much. So Father Duke comes bounding into the office and goes, you, I want you back in second grade. That's Father. Okay, Father. That's what you do. When Father tells you to do something, you do it. So I was back in second grade with all my friends, and I also became too big. I had been too big. It was like, and I became too big all over again. And so I was there for 27 years. 87. 87, I played that. Yeah, I played back in 87, so I was there for 27 years.
I'm Faye Day, taught at St. Anne for 20 years. Started 6th grade, then went to 5th grade, and then went back to 6th and 7th grade, middle school. Loved people I worked with and loved the students.
I taught middle school, also KBK, and I started off my first year of 6th grade reading and religion, and then next year moved to 7th grade, reading and religion, and then I've taught every subject there except for English.
Wow.
But mostly science, because that's what my degree is in, and so I've taught for over 25 years at St. Anne, and loved it, loved to get on middle school, loved my students, loved my coworkers.
I'm Sharon Morris, and I've taught at St. Anne since 1982. I've been to going for 31 years. Have some wonderful teachers that work with me. Some of whom are no longer with us. Peggy, you said that, and they left on me. But we had a wonderful time. We loved working at St. Anne, and it was a long time, 31 years.
It was. 27 was
And you're
long.
still there.
31. Yeah,
Still substituting.
She never leaves. She never leaves.
Right, I'm Rosalie Lakey, and I started in 1987 at St. Anne, and I worked there for 27 years before I retired. I was a third grade teacher, and I loved it. So, and my children all went to St. Anne.
We had fun times together.
Yeah, we sure do.
And sure do, and did and do. You see, we can't leave. We still can't leave each other.
We're still all together. We're
Yeah.
still all together.
It's right.
Okay, your turn, Mrs. Rowe.
Yeah.
I'm Mrs. Cicero, Marilyn Cicero. I started St. Anne in 1984, and I was there for 30 years. I taught 2nd grade for 18 years, 3rd grade for 12.
Yeah, because you left
Because
us.
I left in 2nd grade,
Yes.
you know,
Talked them into coming to third.
and 3rd, and that was the most wonderful thing about St. Anne, the teachers, and the camaraderie that we had. We got along, it didn't matter what grade we taught, we got along, and we had fun.
Yeah, that's right.
We made lots of fun. We're still having fun.
We are. Still having fun.
Absolutely. Hi, I'm Claire Lamont, and I started working at St. Anne when my children were in school, probably 1980. I worked part-time in the preschool for many years, and for the last 20 years I worked full-time in the pre-K. Enjoyed it. I wasn't always with the other ladies, but we saw each other during the day and became friends, and we're still friends today. And we loved all the little kids. They were like my children and my grandchildren. So very happy. Love St. Anne.
Hi, I'm Pat Simpson. I started working at St. Anne's in 1983. I had Sister Judith, who was wonderful. And then I had Sister Gloria, who was also wonderful. And then I left in 91. But all these ladies and the entire faculty are amazing people. We still get in touch today.
Yeah.
So it was a great place to work.
Yes. What a great place to work.
Yes, yes,
We all felt very blessed to be there together.
yes,
We always felt
definitely.
blessed.
And I'm still blessed, because I'm still so
You're so blessed. And we are also close now. First we were co-teachers, and now we're co-book club members. We don't always read the book, but we always get together.
Right, right.
And even during the hard times, because I had just retired, and they said, wow, you retired like a corporate tree now. What possessed you to do that? But they needed me
Yeah.
when they were in those classrooms at St. Philip. So I went back and gave them a helping hand, and I know they appreciated the
Yeah.
time I spent with them.
Yeah, you were so helpful.
Yeah.
We needed all the help we could
Yes,
get.
you did. Yes. And I was glad to leave in the afternoon.
Yeah, you guys to leave, we had to stay.
During lunch, you all were I guess because post-Ida, Hurricane Ida, we were reminiscing about our time as teachers post-Katrina. So let's go ahead and talk about our, maybe starting off with, because we talked about we were all evacuated somewhere, and Susan had gathered us all together for a meeting to feel us out to see, in Baton Rouge, to figure out who was interested in coming back and just to kind of give us some information. So I don't know, Janice, were you at that meeting? Okay, so do you want to go ahead and talk about?
Yeah, so, I guess you wanted to know how many were, you know, in a situation where you could come back to teaching, you know, were you available, are you gonna be in town and whatever. So she had a number of how many. And then,
Because you all hadn't decided to open the school yet, right?
no, we could not.
We could not.
The school could not be open. We had gone to assess it, you know, and, we had lots of, water damage, and, the crew that had come to the school had just taken all of the books and all of the everything, and bagged it up in big bags and put it in the cafeteria, so it was really a mess.
In the cafeteria.
Yes. And so we had to go in there to find the emergency cards for all the students, to contact them to let them know, you know, what we were going to do. Yeah, so we dig through. Yes, yes. And so once we found out how many of you all could, you know, go back, I don't know how the offer came to Susan, but St. Philip offered us room in their school to house some of our grades. Not, of course, not all, because of course they're, you know, they're in elementary school. And then, St. Benil had an upper floor that had classrooms, and they offered us, those. So we determined that middle school could go in there, and then the rest could go to, St. Philip. But they,
Third, the assembly center.
yes, which meant it was one big, huge area, which had to be cordoned off with petitions, and it was an unbelievable, monumental task to ask these women to convert a huge area like that into classrooms that were one like here, with just a petition, and you had to teach.
At cafeteria tables.
Yes.
Yeah. And the petitions were made of sheets.
Yes, and you think your voice doesn't carry one to the other. And what was even worse about that was, on Friday afternoon, all of that had to be disassembled, pushed to the side, because mass was said in that building on the weekend. And then it had to be put up again for the week. So it was an unbelievable task to ask these women to do, but they did it with grace and fortitude and
No complaints.
no complaints, absolutely.
No
Never
complaints.
complained, never complained, never.
Well, and just to show the heart, where our hearts are in education and in Catholic education, at that meeting in Baton Rouge, we were told that our contracts were all voided by the archdiocese. And then the question came, well, who, and we all raised our hands, we all could, you know, we all want to go back because we're a family, you know, and we want our children to come back as a family, as a St. Anne family.
And we were at St. Benil.
Yes, we were at
We didn't
St.
have it as bad.
No, we did not.
We had it pretty good.
Middle school.
We really did have it.
The whole
I mean, our only thing is that we had to schlep the desks up and down, up the stairs and then down the stairs when we went back to St. Anne. But really, we had a really nice,
Copy machine?
yes, we had a very nice setup there. St. Benil was wonderful to us. They were wonderful. They were very welcoming.
As was St. Philip, really.
They were wonderful too,
They
yes.
changed their schedules, you know, for lunch and for arrival, dismissal.
They were very nice.
these two schools could not have been kinder, more generous to us, could not have been. And you could not find a more professional, giving, wonderful group of women in your entire life as these women.
That's why we're together. That's why.
That's why we're all together. About how wonderful the teachers at St. Philip were. I remember there was another second grade teacher, a St. Philip second grade teacher, who every Friday invited my little children into her classroom to show them movies while I tried to get some work done. Now that's how they were kind. They extended themselves in any way, and they were happy to help us. And it was just so nice of them. They didn't do that, but they did. And we really appreciated doing that.
But we were all told as teachers not to worry about anything in your classroom. It was all going to be packed up nice and neat, and you would know where it is. And we got to school, and everything was just in trash bags.
And some of it was wrecks.
Yes.
It was moldy.
Yes.
And in the kindergarten classroom, they took all the beautiful wood, solid wood cupboards, and took a sledgehammer to them.
I didn't get that.
And just broke them apart. And we had just painted them with we had just painted them that summer. And so they were fine. They had gotten wet, but they could be just wiped off. And they took sledgehammer to them, tore them apart, and cleaned it.
But they had to go through those bags, find their books, find everything.
Children's books,
manuals,
And we didn't have enough for the whole class. So kindergarten and pre-K, each one was in a room together. And we had to find the books, and share the books, because we didn't have enough for everybody. So as we did a rotation in that one classroom of 3 groups of 25, we shared the books. Like I'd have the letter books, somebody else would have the math books, and somebody else would have anything else. And then we rotate.
Yeah, that's what we did in second grade. I tried math, and many math books were lost, so the children couldn't write in their math books. If I taught 2A, I'd hand out the books and then collect them all. And then when I taught 2B, I would hand out the same books to the kids. Don't write in those books because we had to share, collect them all. We did that for basically every subject.
we were there departmental.
Yeah, we did.
Two of us, one of us taught these 2 subjects with those children. Right. Because that's all the books we had. And then they moved on to the other
Yes,
subjects.
and we moved from one section to the next, right? From the beginning.
I think that, I don't remember.
You moved, the kids didn't move.
Oh, we moved.
You moved.
Then we had to take all of our stuff.
We had to go all of our stuff.
And books.
We carried them, and it was like we dealt the books out like cards, and we collected them out back. And we dealt them out.
All right.
And we collected them back. Yeah, that was good times.
And we had a whiteboard. Each of us got a whiteboard about this big, and we propped it up on a chair. And that was our blackboard that we would teach from.
And it often fell. And in the middle of the lesson, it often fell. And the kids thought that was hilarious. And they all wanted to come help me put the board back up. So that was your lesson, pretty much. That was that.
All during the day, you would get different flashes.
Because they were right next to each other teaching. The tissues would fall down. They crashed. Yes.
Testing, the mics.
The bike. Oh yeah, they were testing the bike. The air conditioning system broke.
Oh, that was-
So one day it was like 90 degrees. The next day we all came in light clothes and like little flip-flops. Well, they turned the air conditioning on, but they couldn't turn it off, so it's freezing cold. So some of the teachers went and got socks.
Ran to my house and got
Ran to her socks and got socks. So they sported flip-flops with socks underneath. That was a hit. Every day was a new challenge, a new adventure.
But we all survived.
We did.
And
continued year after
Maybe
year.
that's why we're so close.
And the children did well.
Yes.
We made sure the children
They did fine. They were happy to, I haven't told this story yet. Okay, so Leslie Bruno was our curriculum coordinator. And Leslie would go around and while we were in the gym, she would come around and she would offer up chocolate and hugs because she knew we were having a hard time. And she was always very supportive of what do you need and what can I do for you. And so we just did the best we can. At the end of the school year, we were back in our classroom, and Leslie came into my room, and she said, I just want to ask you, she said, do you think you covered all the skills? Are the kids really prepared to go on to third grade? Because I know this has been so hard. Have you accomplished all the goals? I said, Leslie, I said, yes. I said, somehow, by the grace of God, we did it. And she looked at me and she said, her eyes filled up with tears. And she said, thank you. And she hugged me, and I said, it was a miracle. The kids are ready for third grade. I don't know how we did it, but they're ready. It was amazing. And that was like, well, divine intervention. We did it.
The grit.
Yeah, that's true. Hard work.
And so Claire, were you still in pre-K for Katrina?
I was, but I didn't work at St. Philip. They didn't call us back at that time because they didn't have enough children back for all of us. So just several of the teachers went back together.
Teachers were in the same room.
They were all in
So
one
they didn't
room,
need assistants.
yes. So I didn't come back until we moved back to St. Philip.
So pre-K was all in one room.
Yes.
And kindergarten was all in the
And how many students was that?
75.
Oh, yeah. So they was, yeah. Yeah.
And we didn't have an
I think
assistant,
they had,
but the
I
bathroom,
think they had 3 teachers with 75 children.
we didn't have an assistant at the time, so the bathroom was outside the building. So we went out and Debbie down for 14
Stop. We have moved inside because the started raining and we could not hear the stories and the memories that people were sharing. So I would like to go back to Sharon, and if you could retell your story, your Katrina.
Okay, well, the kindergarten and the pre-K were in separate rooms, but all of the kindergartners were in one room, all the pre-K children were in the other room. We did not have assistants at that time because there were 3 teachers in the room with them. The kindergarten's problem was that the bathroom was around, outside the building, around to the other side of the building. So we did get one assistant to come in part-time, Debbie, so she could at least shuttle the kids, because if not, we'd have to stop teaching, take the child that we needed to go, and the other 2 teachers had to watch your group while you went. So we did finally get one assistant to come and help us, part-time.
You tell them how many students you had.
We had 75 children in one room with 3 teachers. And we didn't have all the books, like I said before, so we had to share the books, like they said, and we would have like 3 different groups, and then we'd rotate, and rotate, and rotate. But because the bathroom was outside, it was a problem, because you had to stop teaching, and somebody else had to watch your children, and they had to stop teaching to watch your children, so you know, that's how we solved that problem.
So was there a cafeteria at St. Philip?
No, we tried, well, the first time we tried to eat in the corner of the gym where our little class areas were, but we found out that it attracted ants, that the little crumbs and everything that were left over attracted ants, so we decided that wasn't a good idea, so we would just take our lunch and just go sit outside and have lunch, and the kids love it. They had Lunchables every day Lunchables, so they did fine.
And then
we
you
would
told me
just-
some students had MREs.
I never saw anybody with MREs, did y'all?
No.
Maybe the
Yeah,
other
but
ones
other
that
grades, y'all
Okay,
said.
Miss
Yeah.
Evans was here earlier.
Oh, the
Fourth grade.
seventh at hers did.
And
Now,
then-
ours had Lunchables.
I don't see any.
Lots of Lunchables.
I don't remember seeing
But
MREs.
And we just stayed in the room, and the children ate at their tables. And then when Debbie came, the 3 teachers would go in the corner and eat our lunch, and Debbie would kind of take care of the children, and then we'd come back.
Yeah,
just
when
ate
did
with
we
the
eat?
children.
We ate with
We
the
ate with
children.
the
Yeah,
children.
we ate
We
with
did
the
it for a
children.
long time, and then once Debbie came, we did get in the corner to eat for 15
No, we just
minutes.
ate with them.
We ate with them.
Ate with them.
No, we didn't have a break. We had no break.
No,
But the amazing thing is that all that time we were in that gym, every day we ate lunch outside, it never rained. It didn't rain one
God,
day.
so good.
Thank God. It never rained, so we were always able to eat our lunch, our little picnic lunch outside. Yeah, we didn't even get any breaks. There were no breaks.
There were no breaks.
No, there were,
No.
and we
And
added
actually-
time. We added extra minutes to
Yes,
every
we
day
did.
to make up for the time the children lost when they had evacuated. So we had a longer day from start to finish and no breaks.
No breaks.
We survived.
We
And I think this
we're
went on
still
through,
talking
you said
about it.
December.
All the way till December, yeah, early
Beginning of
December.
December, we went back, yeah.
But then you didn't go back to your classrooms.
Oh, no,
No.
So-
We
Classrooms
all
were
had
not ready.
different
Different
classrooms.
No, the kindergarten went back to their classrooms. They did go back.
I was in the science lab, which was not meant to be a classroom. It was just meant for, how many people would normally be in the science lab?
Well, it was a full middle school class, but there were no desks.
No desks.
We had tables at the time.
Right, so we managed to put about, 28 desks in there, very, very, very close together. And I was just so happy to be in there, because I could just hear myself talk. And
Not
I
everybody
wanted
else.
to just talking, and sometimes crying, and sometimes just wailing. Different sounds that would happen throughout the day, but it was just my little class. We were close, we couldn't move. My butt was up against the chalkboard, so I'd go home with chalk on my butt because it was so close. But I was so happy to be there. So it was a smile. It was a smile. I know, TMI, but that happened. I mean, it's real. It's real. And it was a simple pleasure.
And then who was in the small classroom?
Anne Marie was in a tiny little classroom. Miss Domack, Anne Marie Domack, who's not here. She was in a very, very tiny little classroom, which was also not meant to be a classroom, but she made it work. She made it work, and then we were all on the second floor of the.
Well, you all, second grade was on the second floor.
That's
Third
right.
grade,
You
we
were-
were on the bottom floor.
That's true.
By the, in the hall, by the office.
A different building.
A different building, because our normal classroom would have been over in the building with the gym.
And it had damage.
Where were you, Miss
Damage.
Kenny?
Lots and it-
You were in the second
That was
floor.
lots of damage.
In a little, a little classroom.
Yeah.
Because we walked through water when we went
We
to see
walked,
it.
yes, we
We
did.
went to see the damage and we had to walk through water.
Yes,
And then we
and,
were told we shouldn't be in there,
right,
walking through the
through
water.
the water.
But
Right.
another wonderful thing that happened though was, we had help from other people in, I can't even remember now what state it was, but they adopted us and sent us money that we were able to buy, furniture and, purchase more books because our books were damaged, and people just were so wonderful.
It was a parish from New York, right? Was it a parish from New York? That was
Warner.
they redid the library.
And they also sent book bags and supplies.
Yes,
for the
for the
children.
kids.
Yes, they did.
Supplies,
Were
paper.
wonderful to us, yes.
Yeah.
Do you know that was a Mormon church? The Mormon church
okay.
sent book bags filled with school supplies.
Oh, wow.
And they had people who came over to help, because I remember leaving lunch for them in the teacher's lounge.
Yes.
They had people who came to help and do whatever that needed to be done around the school. And I know we fed them lunch in the lounge. We would leave sandwiches for them. That was really wonderful. It was a big help.
Yeah.
A very big help. Everybody worked together.
Well,
Yeah.
and you have a little story about Miss Domack and her classroom. One afternoon at dismissal.
Oh yeah, well
Something
it's
happened.
dismissal time. Miss Domack is in her little classroom, which really should be a closet, but it was her little classroom, which she was so thrilled to have because it was quiet and it was her own little space. It's dismissal time. They're calling for the different groups to leave, and she goes to open the door, and her door won't open. Her door is locked from the inside. So can't get out. So she's calling us to come help her, and we're on both sides trying to turn the doorknob and trying to get it open, and it's not opening. And they're continuing to call dismissal for the kids. Some of the kids are crying at this point because they don't think they're going to be able to go home. And so we ended up having to get. Was Mr. Lee there?
Yeah, Lee was there.
Mr. Lee had to come and
take
he
the
took the
screen
entire, he took the door.
Oh, maybe, no, that was something different. That was,
He took the door knob, and even that didn't work. He ended up having to take the whole door off
I know, my class when it happened, he took the screen off the bottom and we had to crawl
I know.
through the screen on the bottom. That wasn't Katrina, that was.
No, he had to take the hinges out and take the whole door off.
Oh my.
And so I don't know who escaped first, Miss Stoneman. They're all running out. Oh, thank God, they can go home. It was the fun. It was just like the icing on the cake. I mean, it was kind of like the icing on the cake. Like, what next?
Such an adventure.
It was an adventure.
The whole year was an adventure. Yes. So when you think about the teachers now dealing with Ida and what, you know, if their school is damaged and
Yeah,
COVID.
We can relate.
We can
Yes.
relate.
We can
Certainly
sympathize.
sympathize with them.
But you know, it
Yes,
makes you stronger, because you do things you never would have dreamed you could ever do before.
That's true.
You could never, if anybody ever told me I was gonna be teaching in a gym like that with first, second, and third grade all together at cafeteria tables, and the children's book bags were in the back of their chair, and I'd be passing out books and collecting them all day long for an extended class day, I would have said, oh, there's no way. But we did it, and we got through it, and here we are 13 years later, laughing about it.
And then to show the strength of our faculty,
Yes,
because
yes.
St. Anne was, at the time, the largest school in the Archdiocese.
Yes, it was.
So our faculty was very large,
Mhm.
and I think we were saying that all of the teachers came back except for one.
Yeah.
Can you imagine?
They all came back.
Because we came back to damaged homes,
Yes.
Living in trailers.
living in trailers.
Not in your own home. I lived with my cousin for 7 months because this house was totally flooded and gutted and there was nothing here.
Yeah, so we
So
would
had
come
that
home,
to deal with.
every evening we'd come home to our own houses that were a mess, barely even livable, having to try to put things back together there. FEMA trailers. Poor Miss Stomach lived in a FEMA trailer on our front lawn, and
Yes.
she, oh my gosh, that was another whole story. She was terrible, but she survived.
And what did she call the gym?
A gym cafetorium.
Gym cafetorium.
Gym cafetorium, because it was like multi-purpose, you know?
That's a good name.
Yeah, gym cafetorium, yes. It was, so it was an adventure for sure,
Definitely an adventure.
but we did it.
But we survived.
We all survived, and we got closer, and here we are. Here we are, we're still together.
And the children did remarkably well.
Yes.
Yes.
They were troopers.
Amazing. Yes.
Those
They
were
wanted some kind
troopers.
of normalcy.
Yes.
That was the normal
That was-
thing.
Yeah, and they came back and they saw their familiar teacher and they saw their
Friends.
friends. Because they were living in FEMA trailers
That's
and
right.
their aunt's house and grandmother's house. They were all over the place. And so they would see us and it was familiar and they were happy to be back together in their little family. Even though it was chaotic and crazy, they didn't really, the kids are so resilient. They didn't even care about it. They were just happy to be together.
And we ate a lot of chocolate.
We did chocolate.
Thanks to Miss Dora Howard.
Miss Dora Howard
She
brings
brought out a
chocolate.
little basket of chocolate.
Yes.
Our bonus.
That was a bonus.
Miss Dora
Janice,
Howard-
how was that process as an administrator, getting the school back up and running?
Wow. Very challenging.
Well, you know, they made it easy because they just did what they had to do. They were so happy to be back. And all these other people who helped out with, you know, getting us back together. And truly our families, they were so happy to be back.
Yeah, because didn't some of our families wind up sheetrocking some of the walls and painting and rebuilding cubbies and?
Yes, the Home and School Club, they really wanted us to get back to our classrooms. So the moms of the Home and School Club came back on evenings and weekends, and they redid sheetrock and they painted.
And the dads.
The
Yes.
dads.
The men's
The
club.
men's club, they were very helpful, and we even had.
Get our cubbies.
Didn't they do
Yes,
something with the
they
cubbies?
helped with the cubbies, and they were moving books and desks for us. And we had the Corps of Engineers, was it the Corps of Engineers
I think so.
help? Yeah, so we
The
had.
National Guard?
The National
National
Guard,
Guard.
that's what it was, the National Guard came with a big Jeep. So everybody wanted to do whatever they could, everybody worked together. Nobody complained. It was like we just all wanted to get things back to normal. We were up to do whatever it took to get back to normal, and that was the good part. We were all on board with this.
Yeah, everybody pitched in.
Everybody did whatever they could.
Yeah, I don't think every school can brag or be proud of the fact that our we are fortunate to have parents who are so cooperative, who are so giving of their time, you know. So we are very fortunate city to have parents that are there.
Yes,
They'll do whatever. So.
Does anyone have a funny memory they would like to share about, you know, anything, you know, of your years teaching at St. Anne? Something funny that happened, or?
Well, I guess it was funny. It was fun when a lot of the teachers decided to do a little dance on stage.
I was
as
thinking the
parents
same
there.
thing, all of us dressing
We
up.
dressed up and
Put ourselves
out there.
And we got up on stage, we practiced.
Yes.
It really didn't do us a lot of good because we really weren't that good, but we didn't care. So we got up on stage and we did our little dance. We had a ball.
We did.
We had a ball.
We
We still
did.
And we
even have a
didn't
picture.
care how silly we
How
were.
silly we
Yeah,
looked.
the parents were laughing. We don't know if they were laughing at us or
Yes.
with us. Not much talent whatsoever on that
This is
stage.
at the fair.
At the fair. It was a long time ago. We had I remember red skirts,
Red
red
skirts, and
hats.
it was
a feather.
I think so.
Oh, they were, yes.
What, the Roaring Twenties or
I think it was.
You danced.
Oh, yeah, I was on
You
stage.
danced.
And, I mean, we had a lot of guts, okay?
We did. We did.
To get out there, not a lot of sense, a lot of guts.
No, but that's how it was. It was, nobody really cared that much. We all worked together, and it was like, okay, if you do it, I'll do it. Let's all do it. Let's all do
Right.
it. And it was so much fun, and that was pretty much how it was working over there. We were all on board to try anything, and we just went with it, and we had a good time. So,
We did.
and we have a picture to prove it. Somebody brought a picture.
Yes, yes.
Oh, I'm sure it's in one of the,
I'm sure.
yearbooks.
Yes, and,
Absolutely.
Mr. McCloskey over there now.
David.
Yes,
Yes, he sure did.
He brought the picture, we were all together, at some
Yeah.
point he brought the picture.
That was
I have
fun.
mine at home.
That was fun.
Yeah, that was fun.
Whatever funny things
Crazy.
happened.
Well, we have a lot of funny stories about First Communion, but we could go on forever.
Yes.
Okay, well, just share a couple.
Well, was it Sister Teresa? Okay. We love preparing the children for First Communion because it was our calling. I mean, we really enjoyed teaching them and preparing for it, but getting all the children, getting 7 and 8 year olds on board, like to walk in procession, to stay together, to carry gifts, to do readings, it's challenging. It's very challenging, and we would often do it at the end of the day. We'd get all of our teaching done and do it at the end of the day, walk into church, and we started about 2 weeks early because there's a lot to do with these little ones to get them all on board for that big day. And so there was one afternoon, the kids were just tired, we all were tired, and things just weren't going well. I mean, the little entrance procession children were stumbling on their feet and having a hard time making it to the altar together, and it just turned out to be much more of a challenge than you would ever dream that it would be. And so Sister Teresa was there. She was one of our second grade teachers at the time, who was supposed to be in charge of the sacramental program,
Yes.
okay?
Usually
But
the sister was
the
in charge.
sister was always in charge, but things weren't going well at that practice, and some kids were crying, some were tired, some were just losing interest, they were kind of going around, whatever. And so she looks at me, and she turns around to leave the church. She goes, Michelle, I'm so sorry. I thought I could do this, and I know this is what I was supposed to do. This is my calling, but I'm sorry, I can't do this. And she turned around to walk out the church and leave. She was leaving me with all these children. And she said, this is hard. I can't do this. I said, oh no, you are not leaving. You get right back in here. We are going to do this together. And so that was hilarious. That was hilarious. This is the nun who had the calling to do this. She was nothing.
She's so
She was nothing else. She was adorable. She was adorable, wonderful. But she lost it. And that's okay. But she wasn't going to leave. There was no way she was leaving. I said, nope, you come right back here. And we calmed down. We took a deep breath. And the children are watching like, oh my gosh, what's going on here? These two people, these two adults are having a meltdown. I said, no, we got it all together. And we did, and it turned out, it always, that was another miracle. No matter what we would go through, during the practices, I mean, we had times when we'd get to the church and we found out, oh, we can't use the church, there's a funeral going on. Wow, we have to turn around and forget that one.
back to the classroom.
We can't use the church, the power's out. Turn around, I'll go back. So many different things would happen. We had bumps on the road and this and that, and we'd say, oh, I don't think they're ready. This is not gonna work. They're not ready for this. We have to have plan B because this is not working. And then we get to the big day, and they would be all in their beautiful little communion, their little white dresses and suits and everything, looking so holy and pious, not the way they looked 2 days before, okay? There was no piety and holiness a few days earlier. They'd get all dressed up and they looked so beautiful and they'd process in, and they did everything perfectly, right? They always came through. We were a nervous wreck, just waiting for something to go wrong. And they always came through, and they made us so proud. It was so beautiful, and all the parents and relatives would compliment us, and oh, y'all do such a good job with them. You don't know what it took. You don't know what it took to get there. That's communion.
That was communion.
And then she left until our third grade. Because she couldn't take that anymore. She gave it up.
I'm older than them.
Yeah, you are older. You had done your time, Miss Cicero. You had done your time.
I had done my time.
Yes, you had.
But I loved it.
I know, it was always
It
wonderful.
was, yeah,
It was
it was a
special.
Special thing,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
And the other, y'all didn't do any other sacraments, did you? No.
Well, 8th grade, no, let's see, was confirmation, I think when I started, confirmation was still in 8th grade and before it moved to
High school.
High school.
High school.
junior high, yeah, but I was never 8th grade,
You were
so.
never- yeah. That was so long ago, they didn't even have 8th grade.
Mm.
It's so long.
Right,
Mhm.
right.
Any other?
They don't
family?
have confirmation here. In Columbus,
Oh,
they had,
they do, yeah.
Yeah.
Other states do have it in grammar school.
it was in 7th grade. My granddaughter just
Mhm.
made her
Just made a
confirmation.
confirmation.
In the kindergarten, extremely
It was
funny
6th
stories.
grade.
Yeah.
I can remember the first
Yeah.
year of, it was Peggy and Linda and I, first year we had all-day kindergarten. Before that, Linda had 2 sessions, a morning session and an afternoon session with 30 kids or so, and she would teach in the morning and then teach in the afternoon. Linda had never done centers, so when Peggy and I came in and we incorporated centers in, I remember the first year, we passed Linda's room during centers, and she was standing next to the door like, oh my God. She had never, because she had always just taught a whole group, she had never ever broken them up, and she was like petrified. Like, oh my God. So, but then she got it together and we all did a great job. And back then, we had 36 kids or 35 kids, no assistant, and we just did it. You just did what you had to do, and then eventually we did get part-time assistants, then we got full-time assistants, you know. But yeah, we had some funny stories. I remember Peggy was in the back building where you all were, on the first floor. The first year I was there, Peggy was in the back building. I was in the hall with Linda, and then the 2 4th graders, Debbie Bro and Sister, one of the nuns was on that floor. And Peggy was by herself with the pre-K in the back building. But pre-K was only there half days, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So we went to, it must have been on our break or something, I don't know. Linda and I went back there to try to talk to Peggy about something. And we got to the window, we couldn't get in, we didn't have a key. So we went to the window and we're knocking on the window. We're knocking, and the kids are going, we're going, no, call Miss Peggy, They're going, and we couldn't get in because the door was locked. So just those kind of little funny things with little kids, you know, that they do.
The kids are so cute.
And I took over Peggy Reesaver's room when they moved me into that back building. I was teaching 3rd grade. I had to get on my knees to write on the blackboard because everything was very
Right,
so
that's
I'd be
right.
on my knees, and I remember that so well because I went into her room.
Yeah, well,
when
then
moved.
Peggy was probably in more classrooms than anybody. She moved from back there to the 1st grade hall. Then she moved from one of the classrooms she was in there to another classroom in the 1st grade hall. Then she came into our hall, and she was on the side where they added on the offices, and she was claustrophobic, so she couldn't have no windows, so then she moved across the hall. Peggy had more classrooms.
And Peggy taught different subjects, different grade levels.
That's true. Remember?
Well,
Peggy
then
taught
she-
a different grade
Well,
level.
then, but that was all kindergarten. Then
Right,
she went down to 3-year-olds.
right.
And then she went down to 2-year-olds.
And then
She
she
started
No,
to
but she taught 5th grade. She taught literature.
Oh, well, yeah, when she
for a
decided,
little while.
She
yeah,
taught literature
when
for
she
a little
decided to retire,
Right.
she was gonna quit, and then she taught 5th grade for just part-time. Then she came back and she did 2-year-olds after that. But in the interim, she had done 3-year-olds. Because I remember her saying, come for 2-year-olds with me, and I said, she says, we'll go out with a bang, we'll retire together. I said,
Yeah.
no, I'll go out with a backache, no thank you.
Was it the 2-year-old program that she started?
We started
Peggy
before
started with cancer. She started
Yeah,
that
she had
year.
cancer.
She started that program while she was going through treatment for breast cancer.
Right, because Kelly would come in
Yes,
and substitute for her on the days that she couldn't be there.
she would be going. She was.
And then she
started
did
the-
library.
That,
Then
that's
she
right.
did library for just a year, and then she finally retired.
And she used to say her whole family was there because she was there. Her daughter Kelly was.
Who
at
took my
first
place.
took your place. At first she was in library.
Right.
Then she took your place. She had her 3 granddaughters who were all there.
Right.
So she had
The whole
3
family.
generations
Right.
of Peggy Reesaver family at the school. That's how much we all love to be together.
wow.
We stick together.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, all of our children went to
Yes,
St.
all of our children.
Yes, all the children saying.
Yep,
Yes.
yep, yep. And we all taught each other's children, pretty much.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because I taught your daughter.
You taught mine, you
You
taught
taught
mine, I
mine.
taught yours. Yep.
Yeah.
I taught yours.
Yes, I know.
I taught Janice's.
Yeah, and Marie taught.
And Marie taught.
Yeah.
Wish Miss Domet was here.
I wish she was
should
here.
be here
I thought
too.
about that
I
today.
know, she was a wonderful, wonderful senior teacher.
She is still teaching.
She's still teaching.
Just out.
That's why she is not here.
Yes, and she's still a wonderful, wonderful dedicated teacher.
Yes.
Miss Anne Marie Domet.
How was it, how did the school climate change when the nuns left? And then you had an administration that was all lay?
I think it was strong enough to.
Well,
I don't think it really changed
It
because
didn't really,
Father Duke was still there at that time.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
really the whole spirit stayed the same as long as he was there.
Yeah, I think it was a pretty smooth transition.
Yeah, it
I
was.
really do think it was a smooth transition because when the nuns left, well, Susan became the principal, but Susan knew what Susan
Oh,
Prokop.
she was assistant
She was
principal.
an assistant principal. She knew the St. Anne way of doing things. We just all carried on. We'd all been there for a while. We just all
They
carried
thought
on.
that we could, the school could go on, that's why,
Oh, yeah,
they let
yeah,
them
that's-
go to another school
Yes.
where they were needed.
Exactly.
They thought that
They knew that we
everything
were,
had been established.
we were
at
strong enough
St.
that we
Anne.
could continue with that transition and be as strong as ever, and we did. There were no differences really, we just all kept on doing what we always do. Yep, so that was really wonderful. Any other questions, Ms.
oh yeah, so,
Cintani?
I think we've already answered this question several times in our stories, but, what did you like most about teaching at St. Anne?
The faculty.
faculty.
Yes.
The faculty was a
Absolutely.
family.
Yes,
It's still my second family.
yes, that's right. We still check on you, Ms.
Yes,
Cintani,
you
all
all
the
do,
time.
yes.
Oh, yes.
Yes, we do. And I noticed just from hearing, well, it's a place I always taught. I didn't teach for any length of time anywhere else. But we, like above our grade level, the teachers did everything for the good of the students. We didn't compete with each other. I didn't try to do something and not share it with my partners. I wasn't trying to get attention or get accolades or praise. Anything I would come up with, or Miss Cicero or any other teacher, we shared everything. We worked together for the
That
good of the
doesn't happen at
children.
every school.
No, that doesn't happen every school. Some teachers want to be noticed, they want praise and recognition, and for themselves. We didn't do that. We shared, I mean, it was amazing how we would share things, and even, if I ran out, if I didn't have something I needed, Miss Domet would say, here, take them up. It was always that way. When one was missing something, the other one just jumped right in and provided it. We worked together, we all taught, we did the same activities, the same little crafts. We was always for the best interest of the children and not for ourselves. And I think that was really, really what kept us all together. And that's where the children benefited, because it was all for, their best interest was always our number one priority.
We were so close that there were days we would come dressed alike without even knowing what the person was wearing.
We had the same color,
Same
or the
color
yes.
shirt, same color pants,
Yes.
or skirt, whatever.
We were on the
We
same
were on the
wavelength.
same wavelength.
That was
That
funny.
would be fun. That was funny.
Yes, we were always very united.
Very united.
Sure. And of course, they're talking about, their grade levels, but I think you could find that throughout the grade levels. They, everybody was friendly and cared about one another, and
Very supportive.
and very supportive. And you could tell they cared about their students. They really, really did. And some people it's a job, and you just go there and you do it. But you could feel how much they cared about the students, and that is so important. And
It
you
really
could
is.
feel it. I think anybody who would walk through the school could feel it, could feel the love that was in that school for each other, for the students. And like I said before, the fact that there were so many, that the parents, there were so many caring, involved parents.
Yes.
Yes.
The parents were amazing.
They were amazing.
If you would,
Very
you have to almost
cooperative.
watch what you ask for, because they all wanted to do it. You'd say, I need help with this, and they all want to do it, and they would get their feelings hurt if you didn't pick them. It was so supportive that anything you asked for, you got tenfold.
Yeah.
And that made it so wonderful, because we knew that we always had support, everything we needed. And of course, that carries over in their children, because their children were wonderful and well behaved, and they always had everything they needed for the most part. So great parents make great kids, and it makes our job wonderful.
I think one of the blessings that I got to experience as a middle school teacher that perhaps you all didn't was the students coming back. Like going to high school, coming back, and it was really then that you knew that you did a good job, that St. Anne did a good job.
But they would
because
even come back and see.
They would come back.
True.
It wasn't just middle school that they came back to. They came back to see all of their teachers,
Right.
all the way down to kindergarten.
So they would sit in the class, they would say that we're sitting in the classroom and they're starting something, and the only students raising the hand are the St. Anne students that know the answer. That shows you how well prepared they were for, their next educational journey. And,
That's true.
and then for them to even want to come back.
Yeah.
And you know what? And I know you could attest to this. The ones that you never thought would come back are the ones who come back.
I know.
That's true.
I know. In second grade they're little, and I had, sometimes the high schools would have a day off, and they get off early for exams, whatever. I've had former students, boys, who are now like 6 feet tall, walk into my room and say, Miss Stanek, and I'm like, oh my gosh, that's you. And they came back on their day off or their early dismissal to come and see me, and because they were thinking about, that's amazing when they do that. They did it to all of us.
I can remember getting notes from 7th graders or 8th graders back then when they were graduating, just thanking me for being their kindergarten teacher. That was 8 years later, and they were still thanking me for being their kindergarten teacher. That's the way the kids were.
Yes.
And back to the faculty, I can remember when I first started at St. Anne, there was the sewing group. Okay, there was a sewing group of teachers, and it was across the faculty. It wasn't just one grade level. They were from every grade level, even the office. Miss Kitty was in it and everything. And the first time Peggy and I met with Linda, she said, "We have a sewing group. Would you like to join it?" And so we were welcomed in from the very first day to come join the group. And that's just the way the faculty was.
Right.
Not just the sewing group, but it's just an example of how everybody was so giving and so accepting of every person that came, you know.
And
13 years later, we were
It's
still
now
sewing.
We would get a new
now it's a
teacher
book club, but back then it was a sewing group.
It's a sewing group, right.
in 2nd or 3rd grade. If we would get a new
We always
teacher,
do hand-
they always commented. We would work with them and we'd say, "Here, this is what we do. This is how we do this." And we'd make it as easy and as seamless a transition as we could for them. And they were always saying, "Wow, I can't believe y'all are helping me like this." We would give them the tests, we'd give them the study guides, we'd give them the sheets and review sheets and this and that. And they're saying, "Yeah, I've never seen this before." You know, in other schools, you're on your own. Your teachers on their own. We said, "No, over here, we all work together. Here you go. We want to get you off to a good start." And it happened every time.
Yes.
Every
I'm
time.
thinking back when I started, you weren't there, it was Miss Domack
Yeah.
and Sister Mary Bertha, who we absolutely love. But Miss Domack, again, you know, I
Yes.
was starting, and on Monday morning, I would come and on my desk would be the stack of papers that we needed for the week.
Yep.
She came on the weekend and ran off all of our dittos.
Yes. One of our goals for the week was to accomplish all the dittos.
All the
that Miss
dittos that Miss
Domack
Domack ran
run
off.
off on the weekend.
On the weekend.
She was so organized.
She was so organized.
And
But
help us to do this. And
She
it was
still
like, oh my
does.
gosh.
She still is.
She's
She
still the
still
same
is.
exact way.
And it's funny that y'all are calling them dittos.
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 Yeah.
Because,
Right.
yeah,
Yeah.
Because we were told we couldn't call them dittos after a while, we had to call them
copies or
Worksheets.
worksheets.
Well, we remember a mimeograph machine.
Oh, yeah.
We
Yes.
used mimeograph
They were
machines.
dittos, they were
They
dittos.
really were dittos, and they were still wet.
Yes.
They were still wet when they came off, and you still had the purple ink. And I remember going home and having purple ink all over my mouth and my hands from the dittos.
and the students would smell them, right?
I know, because they were so fresh.
They were wet.
They were
They
still
were wet.
and they would smell it. I'm sure that was good for them to breathe.
Right. To inhale on that.
I know.
Maybe it kept them awake.
Maybe so.
So, maybe so. Oh, wow.
Yeah, we've been there a long time. And film strips.
Oh, and
Remember
film
film
strips.
strips?
Oh,
And film
yes.
strip
We
projectors.
did that every Friday afternoon, we did
Yeah,
film strips,
we
yeah.
did film strips, yeah.
Yes.
And chalkboards, there were no whiteboards.
And
chalkboards.
I used a record player.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
I had
yes.
45 RPM records with the multiplication and division facts on them that we would sing along with, okay? So
Yes.
before you left my class at the end of 3rd grade, you knew your facts. You could even sing them.
Yeah, you could sing with that.
And then years later, other classes would come to my class
We take a field
To-
trip to
to
your class to
see
see what a
what
phonograph
a,
looked like.
what a record player
Record
was.
player
They
was.
thought
Right.
they had never seen one before. This was a little suitcase
Well,
time.
even when you had
With this, you know,
when I was
seriously,
kids,
don't walk
Yes,
through there.
yeah.
and the younger teachers, I can remember I had a record player in my classroom, when the younger teachers came in, what is that? I was like,
Yeah.
it's a record player. What's a record player? Well, now they're all going back to vinyls, so
Yeah,
that's
that's
what
true.
it is now, but back then they didn't know.
No,
you know.
That's the-
they didn't
But
know.
we have to share Miss Cintani's second line tradition at
Oh,
St.
Oh,
Anne's.
that's right. That's
Miss
right.
Cintani did her
Oh,
second
yes.
line for Mardi Gras, because Miss Cintani loves Mardi Gras.
Mardi Gras, yes,
She
still
comes
loves
alive,
Mardi Gras.
even more so than she
Yes.
already is.
Children
And
wanted
Mardi
to
Gras.
be in the Mardi Gras dance class, okay, which was 3A, my class. And every year when Mardi Gras would come around, I would show them how to second line. They would get their handkerchiefs out or their napkins, and I would show them the wrist action. You didn't hit the kid in front of you. You had to keep it up high and make sure that handkerchief went up in the air. And then I was lucky enough to have one of the older boys later even accompany us with, with his instrument. He could play, the second line tune for us. But before that, we would carry the
boom box.
The boom box, yeah, we'd carry the boom box, and we'd go through the hallways, and do the second line. and they loved it. They just loved it, and I
And your
loved doing
umbrella.
it.
You had
Well,
your
I had
umbrella.
the umbrella. The Maggio family made me my umbrella. I still use it today. One of their grandmothers was Adam Maggio, I believe, and very pretty umbrella. And we used that. You know, I had the umbrella, and somebody else had the boom box, and they better have that handkerchief going straight up in the air, not hitting the person in front of you, okay? And they did it. They did a really good job.
And you would announce on the day that you were in the second line, you would announce when you'd be coming, because you went to every single classroom.
She did. She
Every
did.
classroom in the entire school.
I did.
So we
Yeah.
knew when Miss Cintani and her second line was gonna come.
Right.
And we could
Absolutely.
hear the boom box, we could hear
Yes.
the Mardi Gras music
Oh,
playing
yeah.
coming up the hall.
Oh, that second line tune, you betcha. Yes. Love Mardi Gras.
That was fun.
That was fun.
Always
Always a
fun.
fun,
Yeah.
fun day.
Yeah, it's always good to have some fun times too.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, does anyone have anything else they'd like to share? Because if not, I would go ahead and close with a prayer. And in closing with the prayer, I would like for your intention to be what your hope is for the legacy of St. Anne. And then we'll go ahead and pray the memorare, okay? So, Pat, do you want to start with you?
Legacy.
The
Oh.
future of,
Well, I hope it continues the way it was when we were all back there, when the teachers worked so well together and the families were so good to help. I hope that continues through the years. And the children are respectful.
Marilyn?
Well, it's always been a great school. Let's pray that it remains a great school. It has a wonderful reputation. The children do very well in high school. Look at the scholarships that are given, you know, each year to the 8th graders, well, 7th graders really. So we have a lot to be proud of, and let's hope it continues in the future. Yes.
And I hope the faculty will stay as close to each other as we have all stayed all these years, and it stays with the same spirit that we've all had all these years.
I've always enjoyed St. Anne, enjoyed their teachers, enjoyed the children, and I hope it continues just as good as it was when we were there and still is, and I hope it just continues for years and years to come.
Yes, I think we've all been there for so long at St. Anne. We helped to lay a very good foundation of Christian values and learning and education, and I hope it continues. I hope the teachers stay as united and committed as we all were, and the students stay as well behaved and disciplined and ready to learn as all the students we taught were. And I just hope it always continues to be a very, very wonderful school like it was when we were there. We've always, when I would tell someone I taught at St. Anne, they would say, oh, that's a real good school. And I was so proud to hear that, because St. Anne always was known as being a very good school. So I hope that always continues.
Yeah, and I hope that the children continue to do as well as they had in the past. We had a fabulous faculty, and I think the children have just turned out to be, a lot of them are doctors and lawyers, and it doesn't matter if it's not professional like that, but we have turned out a lot of important positions in just in our society and everything. And I'm just thankful for all the wonderful friends that we have and that we've made through school, and I hope that the school keeps up with its beautiful and I don't know, I'm gonna get all emotional, but anyway,
It's beautiful traditions.
traditions and everything.
Yes, yes, yes.
I'm just, everybody has said exactly what I was thinking. I just, hope the school continues. The faculty was wonderful. I hope that the faculty they have now will continue and be as close as we were, and the children will continue to get the spiritual education that we gave and that our children received. And it was just a wonderful place to be. I hope that will continue with the people that are there now.
I agree with what all of these ladies have said. It was a wonderful school to
to associate with, to be in. I just hope it stays the same, and that it will always be a place that builds up the person, whether it be the student or the faculty member. That's what I always hope, the principles of the person, building up the person always.
And I agree with everything everybody says. I mean, we all wish the best for St. Anne's School. It's always been great, and we've always been a big family, and just the parish in general is a big family, so I hope everyone continues to enjoy everything that's provided in the whole parish.
Amen.
Yeah, and so ditto to what all of you all said, but also I would hope that what I pray for as a legacy of St. Anne is that former students, as they get married and start to have their own families, put their children at St. Anne, because wow, how great is that when
Yep.
they went to school here, and so now they're sending their children here, some of them like grandchildren, and
You might
It's-
want to say also about how many of our faculty
I was just gonna say
are
that.
graduates of St.
true,
Anne.
yes,
I mean, there's
yes.
quite a bit,
Quite a few.
quite a few
Mhm.
that are,
Mhm.
have graduated from St. Anne and came back and are now presently teachers there.
Yeah, I feel, don't you find like you're more, there's just something different when you have that legacy, right? Just, or you're a parishioner, you know, you're a parishioner at St. Anne.
Yes.
Okay, so let's go ahead and we'll go ahead and close with the Memorare in the name of the Father, Son, Holy Spirit, amen. Remember, O most gracious Virgin Mary, that never was it known that anyone who fled to your protection, implored your help, or sought your intercession was left unaided. Inspired by this confidence, I fly unto you, O Virgin of Virgins, my Mother. To you I come, before you I stand, simple and sorrowful. O Mother of the Word incarnate, despise not my petitions, but in your mercy hear and answer me. Amen. Saint Anne, pray for us.
In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen.